Okay, welcome back. What I'd like to do now is look at something called PETLEP, okay? P-E-T-T-L-E-P. It's an acronym, and you'll see why. So we're going to go through this, again, related to imagery. Well, we have the physical. That's where the P comes from. With this, we can imagine the relevant physical characteristics. So, for example, a footballer could imagine being dressed in their kit with a football at their feet. They feel that physical being there, okay? Putting on the kit, tying up the laces, having the football in your hand, placing it on the floor, I should say, feeling that contact with the ball, okay? That's physical there. Then we've got the environment. So if possible, we can try and imagine, or we should try and imagine ourselves in the environment where the performance is about to take place. Therefore, it'll be a football pitch or a futsal court or wherever. Next thing to consider using this model is task. Try to image details which are relevant to the task, such as the attentional demands that will be needed, what you need to concentrate on. An image at the right level of expertise for the performer. So, a beginner footballer, they should avoid imagining an elite level player, as it's not what we would say as functionally equivalent. It doesn't make sense in that way. It doesn't tally up, okay? If you're a novice, then you should image at the appropriate level, novice level. Timing. Well, the most functionally equivalent approach is to imagine things in real time. But, okay, slow motion imagery can be used in order to emphasize and perfect more difficult aspects then of a skill, okay? For example, you might use, as a footballer, you might wish to use slow motion to image a particularly tricky step over combination, or perhaps the first time you learn a Cruyff turn or something like that, a covert type of movement, okay? You might want to do it slower then, but ideally, we like to look and image things in real time. Brings us on to learning. Now, the imagery should be continually adapted and reviewed over time. This is in order to match the changing demands of the task and the experience level of the athlete. For example, as a novice footballer, you progress and you master a skill. What we would need to do then, we would need to adapt that imagery to reflect the improvement in performance as you progress, okay? Makes sense, I think, doesn't it? We come on to emotion now. It's important to include the same images that will be felt in the actual physical situation, out there on the field or on the court playing football, playing futsal. However, it's important to try and avoid debilitative emotions. What do I mean by this then? Well, debilitative emotions would be things like fear and panic and anxiety. We want to have a positive imagery here, okay? We don't want to get those things creeping in. So for example, a footballer might imagine taking a penalty, but you would need to include feelings of confidence and the adrenaline flowing through your body and feeling great about taking a penalty, not feeling anxious, okay? Be positive. Positive emotions, please. We come on then to perspective, coming towards the end now. The imagery perspective can be first person, through your own eyes in that respect, or alternatively, it could be third person. So imagine watching yourself on video. However, one perspective may be more advantageous depending on the task characteristics, okay? One perspective might work out better for you. A first-person perspective, this is what we call internal visual imagery. It may be more helpful for tasks including open skills and tasks with a focus on timing, such as tackling in football. On the other hand, a third-person perspective, or an external visual imagery, is preferable for tasks where form and positioning is more important then, such as heading the ball or perhaps a kicking or passing technique. Okay, so we need to be aware of that and we need to use it in the right way. What I'd like to do now is just briefly discuss some of the factors which could possibly affect imagery effectiveness. Well, the first thing we need to consider is the type of task. We know that cognitive skills improve much more in comparison to motor skills through the use of imagery. Also, playing experience, that's so important, okay? The more experienced performers, well, they tend to benefit more from imagery. And this is based on evidence-based research, as always, okay? Imagery ability is important. How vivid is the image? How clear is it? Is it controllable? Can you control it? Is there an element of controllability there? Imagery fundamentals can be improved through systematic practice by practicing things over and over again in a particular way. Just like physical skill can be developed in football, we can develop imagery by practicing in the right way. Of course, there's also the imagery outcome. Is it positive as opposed to negative? These things can have an effect on imagery effectiveness. Let's look at some uses of imagery then and why we do it. Well, it certainly can be used to improve concentration. It distracts the distractions, okay, for want of a better term. I like that one, easy to remember. It helps you to build confidence, as we've touched on. It's a real confidence booster in that way. And quite crucially perhaps, it allows us to control our emotions, or control our emotions better, I should say, okay? Then we're looking at things like coping imagery, and it also allows us to raise or lower our arousal levels to an appropriate level for the specific activity. So for example, if I'm a boxer and I'm about to fight in an important boxing match, I need to get my arousal levels up, just about the right level. If I'm an archer, okay, and I'm taking part in an archery competition, then I need to get my arousal levels up, but in a different way, at just the right level for my activity. And in football, it's going to be the same. Position specific and in different situations as well. I'm sure you can imagine the difference between the arousal levels you need as a centre half clearing a ball as opposed to a centre forward or an attacking midfielder who's about to take a penalty kick. They might be a little bit different, okay? Imagery is also used, as we said, to acquire and practice skills. This is probably the best known use, okay? And strategies, we can use it there. And also, as I said earlier, we can use it to cope with injury and pain. It's really good in this respect. This is why I want to touch on it again. In terms of injury management, we can use imagery in order to prevent skills from deteriorating and thereby help recovery. So when an athlete's injured, we can use positive imagery in that way. They can imagine performing the techniques that they would perform if they were fit and healthy, okay? Keep that going, and that's going to have a positive effect for us. Let's go over some basics again. As I said, we need a positive focus. We don't wish to be negative at all. We need a good imagery of execution and outcome. We need to focus on the preparation phase, the execution phase, and the end result of a skill. So imagine we're going to take a penalty kick. I focus on running up before I kick that ball, placing my foot down, the feeling of kicking that ball well on the sweet spot. The sound of that ball as it releases from my foot. Great contact, is heading toward the goal. There's my execution phase. My legs coming through. Great follow through. I can see the ball heading towards the goal. The end result, well, that ball's gone in the net. Keeper's gone the wrong way. I've scored a great goal. I'm running away to my teammates. I can hear the crowd too. That's the type of stuff. Real-time imagery if possible in that way. Slow motion, as I said, is okay in certain aspects for complicated skills, but really if we can, let's use real-time imagery, particularly in that image, that example I gave you there of taking a penalty kick. I'd like to review and make sure that we consolidate the differences between internal and external imagery. It's really important for me that you get these references, okay? You understand these definitions. Well, internal imagery, we can say this is the perspective of seeing things out of your own eyes. External imagery takes the perspective similar to watching yourself on video, as we said. You can use internal imagery to practice skills and strategies. Yeah, think about that, how you would do it. We can use external imagery to study opponent strategies and look for flaws in their technique. Make sense? Hopefully it does. Take some time to think about it, okay? This is your task for this section. Look at that slide there. Think about it. Think of how you might use it in that way. Reflect on what we've done so far.